everybody. I am so excited to be joining you again. It's Wednesday at noon. So that means we are here on our weekly agent training webinar. My name is Vija Williams. I'm with Kinney Companies and Place. And I am so excited today to continue our series on LFL. That's what I call it. I actually stole that name from Kinney, but leads from listings, and specifically how this year it is so important that we all work and form a plan to get 1 to 2 pieces of business for every listing we bring, right? My goal is 2 to 1. That's what I'm gunning for. That's what I've been gunning for this whole time. So earlier in the year, we launched the year with my LFL overview, right? And Robin's going to put that in chat for you all right now. I highly recommend everybody listen to that because it kind of lays the foundation of what we're doing. So far this year, we've just been, after that, we've been thin slicing every single component of that to talk about, you know, how to implement the plans in order to do that, right? So today we have the 2 masters. I really believe that in home valuation leads and so much more. But, you know, online, traditionally, we get buyer leads online, right? And so there's a few ways we can get seller leads online, and home valuation leads are one of them. So I want to first introduce our 2 guests today. We've got the lovely Gail Smith from Olympia, Washington, which is our state's capital in the South End. Hi, welcome. Thank Gail, you know, you have so many cool stories, but I think one of the stories you're famous for is you did how many open houses your first month or 2 in the business?
Well, Ben likes to talk about the December one, but I did consistently 16 to 20 every month for about the first year and a half. And I did 26 in December of 2016.
It's crazy. It's so awesome. And since then you've come on, and I really think of you as one of the leading people in the nation that have had good results with home valuation leads. You've been doing home valuation leads since when?
2018 via March of 2018.
Yeah, so we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about, you know, what works, what doesn't, how long they take, because they do take a while, and all the things, right, Gail? I mean, you and I have talked about this a couple of different times before. We're just going to kind of continue. I feel like every 6 or 12 months, you know, you learn more, you know more, it changes, right? So.
Yes, it is. It's a continual process, Via. And the cool part about it is it doesn't end. And it seems like the longer it goes on, the better the results.
Yeah, that's great. That's what we want. That's fantastic. And then also next to me is the lovely Tamara Lamore, based in Everett, Washington, Snohomish County area, Washington, which is just a little bit north of Seattle. And Tamara, you've been doing home valuations for, I'm guessing, about the same amount of time. Is that right?
Yep, right about the same amount of time.
And both of you guys lead, you know, very high yielding, award-winning teams, right? I mean, both of you guys. Gail, what did you do last year?
Personally or the team?
Both.
Personally, well, the team did $33 million, 700 and some GCI, nothing like Tamara's. Tamara's is like blew everybody out of the water. Personally, I did 26 million.
How many transactions is that?
Mm-hmm.
How many transactions is that for you?
61.
So you personally sold 61 homes last year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just, okay. I rest my case. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's a lot of homes. That's a lot of homes. Tam, what about you guys? What did you guys end the year with?
As a team, we ended at literally right on the nose, 200 units, just under 3 million in GCI, 2,975,000 plus in GCI. And very proudly, that was actually my lowest year in personal production. And so I did 26 transactions last year, which is great for me. That's a perfect amount. Yeah.
That's like a little over 10%. That's great.
I want to be 10 next year.
Yeah.
That's My goal is to be Tamara next year. And I have
Yeah.
to throw in something else about Tamara. Tamara was actually, and still is, probably my biggest supporter and biggest mentor in this
Aw.
business from day one. So,
Oh, she's
Aw.
such a supporter. We all want to be Tamara
Yeah.
one day.
yeah, she's great.
Hey, Tamara, I hear you have a killer lake house, and I was talking to another one of our partners, and she was shocked that I hadn't been invited there. And I go, well, I'm going to change that. If I invite her on a webinar and ask her in front of all these people live, she can't say no. So
I would never say no, and you're
So
always
if you want to
welcome.
invite me to your lake house,
You
I'm so
are
shameless.
absolutely invited. Absolutely
Shameless.
invited.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And I will say I have lead generated and had meeting talent on there at the lake on my phone in a kayak, so we can
Love
have a
that.
business meeting as
Amazing.
well on the
I'm all
lake.
in.
So you're
I'm
welcome.
all in. A little kayak, a little wine. I'm all in. All right. So let's really dive in. And I want to start at first by saying, what the heck is a home valuation lead? Obviously, I know, but what is a home valuation lead, ladies?
Gail, do you want
I'll jump
to
in
take
at
this, or
once.
you want me to?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So a home valuation, it really is any homeowner that is curious about what the value of their home is, kind of in the name of what it is, looking for the value. Now, as a real estate agent, there's many reasons why somebody would be looking for a value. Somebody out there, Cyberland, maybe there's a better way to explain this, but they can go online and either at our website or one of our advertised sites, they just simply go to and they plug in their address. And maybe this is for a question later, but kind of like what they see. Do you want to talk about that now, or is that a question later? Because I think
it's fine. Yeah. So they go in and they plug in their address on the Zillow-like site. They look like Zillow. That's, they just have a bar and you just plug in.
Yeah, it doesn't say Tamara Lamore, the real estate agent, click here. It doesn't say that. It's very, you want to know the value of your house, put your address in here, and they put in their address. And I actually think this is the most critical part of home valuations and understanding home valuations, because is walking through. So one of the first things we have our agents do when they come new on the team is sign up on the site as a seller and walk through that process so they can see what the homeowners and the sellers are seeing. Because so you first get on the site, they enter in their address and hit submit. And then the first thing that pops up, it says, Vija, thank you. It doesn't say your name, but thank you for submitting your address. We're working on putting together that packet for you. In the meantime, what's a good email address that we can send it over? And they plug in their email address and they hit send. And then another message pops up that says, thank you for your email address. We'll email it over when we have a moment. What is a good email address that we can have a licensed real estate agent call you? And they enter in their phone number and they hit submit. So at any point in that process, if the homeowner backs out of the process, wherever the last bit of information they entered was what we get. So sometimes they enter in their email address and they back out, and that's all we get. It doesn't mean that that homeowner is not interested in the value of his home. And for me, once we get somebody with a phone number that is literally clicked on the button that says, put your number here and we'll have a real estate agent, that to me is golden. Like seconds within that popping in, you should be calling the homeowner. But every step of that process, you have an interested homeowner. It could be to sell their home. It could be because their neighbor down the street just sold their home and they want to see, if John's house down the street is half as ugly as mine, and he listed for 600, how much could I get for it? So just curiosity for the marketing. Or they could be thinking about doing a refi. So those are kind of all the things I think that people are thinking about when they look online.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Gail, as far as like what a home valuation lead is?
No, I think she covered that pretty thoroughly, actually.
All right. So, so basically, they plug in their address. I'm trying to pull something up right here. They plug in their address, and there's a couple different ways these work. If you're Zillow, you immediately they get a range, on the screen in front of them. But obviously, because it's home valuations, Zillow and other systems make the assumption that the address that they're plugging in could be theirs. So they, you can just take that approach on your system and create an auto plan. What our system does, and we all use Brivity, obviously, because it's our company tech. What our system does is it doesn't give an automated one. You can trigger it to an auto plan, but it allows for an agent to come back and do a CMA, right?
Correct.
Okay, just want to be sure that I was understanding that. So before we move on to more process stuff, I wanted to, Tamara, you brought something up and I was just pulling it up. So I'm going to share this screen really quick. So if you're driving, don't worry about it. I'm going to walk you through it verbally. I don't want you to swerve in the car. This is the lead response management study that you see on your screen. And you can see that number dives. You can see that number dives down there. And where that number is diving is right at the end of the 5-minute mark. Up to 10 minutes is okay, but there's a long line. It looks like almost a vertical line if you're driving, that after the 5-minute mark of any internet lead, your lead response time dips so dramatically. I don't even know, do you guys know, it's like 672% lower response time. So the reason for that is that nowadays, most people are plugging in their home valuation. They're on their phone for the most part. Some of them are on their computer and they have left your site or they've walked away or they've gone on to the next thing easily. More studies than not that I'm seeing now are saying 120 seconds that we have, ladies. 120 seconds from that lead coming in. So if you ever see an internet lead of any kind come in and it has some kind of a number attached to it, you do not think, you just do. Speed to lead will win every single time. It doesn't matter your skill level. It really doesn't matter what you say, it's speed. If you can still catch them when they're on your site, and again, today we're talking about home valuations, but that can be anything. You've got to move fast, which Tam just said. Sometimes we can't, and sometimes we don't get the phone number. Anything to add to that, Gail? You're the master at this.
No, the speed to lead is hugely important here, especially like Tamara said, that golden lead that comes in that's got all the information. You need to be on the phone immediately with them.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't. We don't get all the information, but there's ways to deal with them to also get the effect that you want or the outcome that you want, which is obviously the deal eventually. It just usually isn't going to happen as quickly.
Well, let's talk about that because these are a slower life cycle, correct? These are not fast twitch muscles. These are, for the most part, these are what we call nurtures. So Gail, let's talk about that. What happens if you don't get a phone number? What do you do?
So, well, let's go back. So if we get all the pieces of information, we're on the phone immediately to them. If we don't get them, we actually start them on, like you said, we use Brivity. We start them on an auto plan that has various steps that we go through that combine all the ways that we can contact them. So it's a combination of calls, texts, emails, just ongoing nurtures. If we don't get the information, and normally it's very seldom, I don't know about you, Tam, but it's usually either all the information, maybe some of that's bad, okay, but it's usually either all the information or none of the information. It's not very often, it's a very small percentage where we get, kind of the email only. That does happen. And we have a separate type of auto plan for that. A lot of them are the home valuation, what we call address only leads. And those are the ones that we tend to, these are just crappy leads. And so we don't do anything with them.
So they don't give an email, they don't give a phone number, just plug in their address and they think you don't even know.
Right, exactly. Right. So that is where the work begins. So we start with the address, obviously. Obviously, we have all the resources to look up who owns that, home. So we start with that, get their name, and then we use Ben Verified. There's other services out there that provide, similar stuff. You can also actually go into Mojo with those addresses. That's another resource.
And Mojo's a dialer, not
Mojo's a dialer, but there's also, they also have a lot of information and data in there that if you can't get it through Ben Verified. So those are the two sources that we use. And the goal is to get one or both of those pieces of information. If we can get one or both of those pieces of information, obviously we can get on the phone, we can do the text or whatever. The long-term ones that we've actually had the most success with, believe it or not, have been those address-only leads that we didn't necessarily get all the information right up to start with, but then we've long-term nurtured them with mailers. We do 5 mailers a year, typically. We do drop-bys for them. We get them on market reports, so they're getting dripped on a couple times if we can get an email address. A lot of times we can get an email address and can't get a phone number. But it's that long-term nurture, Via, because some of you know my son, some of you don't, but he always says, sometimes we just get lucky and we happen to be in the right place when they raise their hand. Right. And it's just a matching of the agent with the time that they raise their hand. So when they raise their hand, it's Via that they think of.
Can I just jump in on that? Because it's such a mic drop thing that you just said, because that reminds me of the best story. There's two of my favorite stories in real estate. One of them is from Jason Abrams. And Jason Abrams said this story, and I've never been the same since. And his story is he walked into a store, and they said, we all walk into stores. Just think about yourself. You walk in a store and you're looking for green jeans. And you walk in and the salesperson says, Gail, can I help you? And what do you say? Like we all say, no. For some reason, we all say no. I don't know why. But you liked this person that greeted you and you thought, boy, it'd be great to work with that person to use green jeans, but you've moved on. You're in the back of the store. You're in the green jeans section and you're way across. You might even be up and down an escalator right now. And you find a pair of 3 green jeans to try on and you see that all of the dressing rooms are locked. Who are you looking for now? You're not looking for the person who greeted you. You are looking for the first person with a key to the dressing room.
Right.
And that is who opens the dressing room door and probably escorts you to the cashier with their sales number with your pair of green jeans. So we have got to always be the person with the keys to the dressing room door. I love that story, and I love it in context of this.
That's exactly right, because that's the whole idea of these long-term nurtures, in my opinion anyway, is that we're the person with the key to the dressing room door.
That's right. That 100%.
That they're going to think of when they decide to sell their house, because we've made the effort and taken the time to stay in touch with them, even if it's staying in touch with them means that we've never spoken to them. Mm-hmm. And I can give you example after example after example over the last 4 years of times that we had the key to the dressing room door because we took the time to stay in contact with them, even though we've never spoken to them.
But here's the thing. It's because you were standing outside the dressing room. You know, you were checking in every 5 minutes, relatively speaking, right? You know, so the odds are you're going to be there. So let's just stay on. We're going to get there, but I want to kind of stay on First Touch a minute. So at First Touch, you know, we don't have their phone number. We don't have anything. You know, you mentioned a pop by. What would you typically bring by to their house?
We take the first time typically. We don't really take a market report. That's down the road a little bit. We use reasons to pop by. So the first time we pop by, we just pop by with a little bag. It's got our resume in it, It's got a couple business cards. It's got a cute little, let me be a real estate lifesaver kind of thing, just a little thing with a few little lifesavers in it. We typically have some other little thing of value in it, depending on when we do the mailers, for example, we always order extra so that we have some extras to throw into these pop by. There we go. There we go.
Oh, we're getting to you, Tam, next. Let's get all that stuff ready.
Individually wrapped, individually wrapped. But anyway, we usually put some other little thing of value in there. And then a letter from the agent, that's doing the pop by. It's just a simple little letter that basically says, hey, you signed up on my website at some point and want to know the value of your home. It's just a little teeny 1-paragraph letter. They hand sign those things and they pop by with that. So they're hoping is that they can have a conversation, but if not, nothing else, it's got a little handle on it, so you can leave it right on the door handle.
Okay. And why, just out of curiosity, why not give a market report right away? So you still haven't given them their value yet.
No, we haven't given them their value yet. We're hoping that we have a conversation with them. We don't want to just show up with that, not seeing it. Because to me, Via, that's almost like, it's kind of like the Zillow thing. I'm like, how can you really do a true evaluation of the home? And, I tell my agents a lot of times, even by looking at the outside, so this almost goes back to our 100 previews. The more houses you're in, as you know, before you even walk in a house, a lot of times what that house looks like inside. Yep. And typically, even by looking at the outside in the neighborhood or whatever, when they go back then and have this other excuse to go buy with their market value, to me, that market value is going to be more accurate. In other words, you're going to be able to shrink down that it's worth from this to this. That's now, you still haven't seen the inside of the home, but you should be able to give a more accurate market value if you've at least driven by, seen the outside of the house.
Okay. So let's stay on kind of first touch, Tam, and let's switch over to you. So the lead comes in to your team, and you don't have, let's just say, because I feel like a phone call, we'll talk about scripts in a minute, but for now, let's just say there's no phone call, there's no email. What do you guys do with it?
So I showed you the bag of lifesavers. Everything basically that Gail said, I ripped off from her. So I do all of that. Perfect. But that was
you like
Gail.
Ripping off and duplicating. Perfect.
Yes. So everything she said, I copied her and do that. So if there is an address only, immediately one of the first things we do is write a note card, put our business card, put it in the mail. I think Gail mentioned this about just the touch, right? Sometimes it takes several touches. I think every touch is equally as valuable. So we have their address, we put something in the mail for them. Just like Gail does, first thing we have our VA look up been verified. And then it depends. The next step, some of my agents immediately will go out and door knock. Other of my agents choose to do circle prospecting first. So sometimes those are inverted, and they use the apology script going out to the door. So just running out to the door, knocking on the door and saying, Via, like, I'm here. This is Tamara from the Ben Kinney real estate team. I wanted to just come out here and personally apologize. It looks like you had entered in our system requesting the value of your home, and there must have been a glitch in the computer system because I wasn't able to get your phone number and your email so I could send you over the report. So I personally wanted to come out here and grab that from you so I can get your report. By the way, while I'm here, is there anything I should know about the property that could adjust the report to make it more custom, yada, yada. So that's the apology script in a nutshell. The one thing that we added in that I think is kind of like a little hidden gem is circle prospecting. So we take the address, we circle around circle prospecting. One of my agents, Beverly, she has the plan. She'll send out the note card. She'll go and door knock. She'll do circle prospecting. And one of the, so you incorporate that listing into your circle prospecting. But here's the great thing. On one of the listings that she got was a home valuation lead. She called one of the neighbors. And they said, no, I'm not interested in selling. And she says, would you happen to know of any of your neighbors that are interested in selling? And let's just say the neighbor's name was John, and the home valuation was John Smith, let's say. Well, the neighbor said, well, I heard my neighbor John is thinking about selling, but I don't know anything about that. And she said, okay. Well, now she had that tool in her tool belt. So she door knocked, and she had our listing packet with us and the little bag that Gail was talking about. And she knocked on the door, and it was no longer, hey, you filled something out online. She said, hey, John, this is Beverly. Your next door neighbor, Mary, said that you were thinking about selling, and she wanted me to come over and personally talk to you and see how I can help you. And he literally was like, oh, that's amazing. Come on in. So by adding that circle prospecting, you can kind of go that angle. So I thought that was a cute little gem. And through that
can
process,
I just add something in there, just because for all of our sakes, everybody please adhere to any cold calling laws. Get on the do not call registry, please. Please know that we all use safe practices and are abiding legally by all jurisdictional rules. So I just wanted to kind of put that in there. It's a really big topic right now, and so I'm just careful when we talk about it. Yeah. Good.
Yes, we are super careful about that. And for those people who don't have Mojo, there is actually a do not call button that it automatically goes to that, but you want to make sure is selected and scrub that. And Brevity has do not call as well when they come in. So yes, very, very strict about that. And I probably also should add to that, if you go to a home valuation site and you're by yourself and someone says, hey, come on in, you want to wage that safety.
Yeah, safety,
well, right?
A little safety disclaimer, a little cold calling disclaimer.
Thank you for that. He was a little old guy. She was good. So that was kind of an added part of the touch. And our listing packets are costly. But if our agent partners are doing those steps of sending out a note card, going door knocking, doing circle prospecting, Ben verifying it, and we still can't touch that, we still don't get in contact with that home valuation. The fifth step, they put together a listing packet, put a little note, sticky note on top of it, a little message, put it in the mail. It costs 4 cents to stamp it, or 4 stamps, to mail it, and they send that off as well. So we do have a process of following up with them multiple times like Gail does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I would say not all, but I would agree with Gail. I think the majority of home valuation leads that we have secured as clients started out as address only.
Why is that? That's so weird to me.
I don't know. The one thing Gail was saying, and I could just be, or actually you were saying at about 5 minutes on the site.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people, when they're looking things, they go from site to site. But I also think people start to search something, their kid falls and hurts themselves and they stop. I think they get distracted maybe at work. So I think that there's a lot of valid clients in that process that may just not complete it. My only thought is the ones that are filling everything in and their phone number, they've probably filled that in on multiple sites.
Yeah.
So you've got to make that contact immediately. So you capture that before another real estate professional does capture it. So maybe if the ones without the phone numbers, maybe they're just like secret sellers and not a lot of people know about it. So if you can get in on a secret seller before every other, 5 other real estate agents get notice that they're thinking about selling. So maybe actually the address only are better because less agents know they're going to sell. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
You know what I mean by that? So yeah, they haven't advertised it yet.
That said, I think we should talk about the initial phone script though. I mean, we still have to talk about it, right? So Gail, I fill it out and I've got my phone number. Let's do a little role play.
Okay, so you filled it out all the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So ring. Is
that what you want me to do all the way?
I'm just asking if you, because there's a different conversation if you, if I
let's do it where
information.
Let's do it where I filled it out all the way. Let's do that.
Okay. Cool. Okay, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Via?
It is.
Hi, Via. This is Gail Smith with the Ben Kinney team at Keller Williams. And I saw that you were on our website and you filled out a valuation for your home. And looks like you might want to know the value of your home in this current market. Is that correct?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I was kind of curious. I thought it was going to be an automated report. So,
Oh, yeah, you could probably get an automated report from somebody else. It might not be as accurate. So I'm just curious, Via. So you were just curious about the value, or are you actually thinking about selling or maybe refi or?
oh, I don't know. I was kind of curious. I mean, I think we'd like to see. We're guessing we could probably get a lot, and it would. I guess knowing the value, it would help us make that decision if we do refi or maybe sell.
Okay, cool. Well, I would love to actually meet with you, Via. It sounds like you're maybe ready for that meeting so that I can get a good, accurate valuation for you. Are you up to meeting with me?
Oh, I don't want to waste your time. I really don't think, even if we sold, it wouldn't be right away. And
Oh, that's all right, Via. Here's what I find. I find that sometimes people are curious, and then when they find out what the true value of their home is, it kind of changes their minds. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a price in mind that you would be ready to sell at?
Well, I mean, we're kind of wondering at this point if we could get $1 million for it.
Your address, your statistics that I looked at in your home indicate that you might actually be surprised at what it's worth. It could easily be worth that. But of course, I won't know that until I actually get my eyes on it. And really, Via, to be honest, it's not wasting my time whatsoever. I love looking at homes. It's one of the reasons I'm in this business. So I can pop by. It won't take very long, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Would that work?
It's just a mess. Well, maybe next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Tuesday at 3? Or would the morning work, maybe Wednesday at 11? Would that work? Either of those work?
Maybe like 2 or 3 weeks on the weekend would be better.
2 or 3 weeks on the weekend. Okay, well, let me look at my schedule here. It looks like I actually have an opening next weekend. Oh, you know what, Via? I'm not coming to look at your housekeeping, sweetie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything. Your housekeeping abilities have nothing to do with your value.
You have me at sweetie.
Yeah.
I mean, she totally got me.
I've got an opening on
over today. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I got it. Anything different, Tam, that you guys do?
The only thing really that was fabulous. The only thing I would say that popped into my mind is when they talk about we're not sure what we want to do. I'm just curious about my value. The first thing you said was we thought it was automated. I usually go into, I'm glad that we connected then, because automated tends to give you a very wide range. And if you're interested in the value of your property, upgrades, features, things like that make a difference. So sometimes that's what I go into just based on the conversation. If it is really, hey, I thought it was automated and I wasn't really, you kind of get that not quite now thing, then I'll just go right into, tell me a little bit so I can customize this report so you can get a better value. Tell me a little bit about the condition and upgrades of your house. And to give you an example, if there was 2 houses that were selling and one had a brand new $20,000 roof they put on last week, and one has holes in the roof and they need to repair it, that's going to make a difference in the value of your home. What are some of your upgrades or your features of your home that you think would increase the value of your property? So I'll start talking about that and getting them in that conversation. The other thing that I might say in the beginning, and I know it's one of the scripts and I probably am not going to say it right, is I'll start talking about a refi. I'll say, there's one of 3 reasons why people sign up on the website to look for the value of their home. Are you just interested in what's going on in the market? Are you thinking about selling your home? And the third reason is people are thinking about doing a refi. Have you thought about any one of those?
Yeah. And then
So I'll say that.
go into intent. Okay. The other one I've used before too is, because I've done some of these as well, is I found a lot of them were like, maybe this is the fall and they're thinking next spring. So like 6-9 months out, was kind of what I was finding. So I would try to get myself into their house before they made any home prep decisions. So I would say to them, oh, you want me in now then actually. You want me now because I can help you not spend a lot of money, not spend the wrong money. What I have found that's been interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone comments on chat. What I found is that's really market driven. The three of us happen to be in really high price point markets. And so it makes sense for us to have these long nurtures. I know that some people in like a more transactional market with like an average price of say 130 or 150, they're not really doing that. They're like, no, if they're not ready to go, and probably, so, I mean, it's interesting. We're kind of speaking to I think a mid to high end market point a little bit. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, because you guys also talk to teams around the country, but I found that, you're going to nurture longer if they're a higher price point and you're a lower unit count market, right?
I agree with that for sure. And I think that if you go in with that kind of consultative conversation, a lot of the times, like you said, one of the first things you talk about is, oh, if you're thinking about doing upgrades, get me in there now so I can make sure that, a lot of the times when I go to that property on that premise of, yeah, we're thinking about updating our kitchen because we want to sell it for more money in the spring, you get there and you're like, here are the comparables if you sell it now as is, or if you sell it with the updated kitchen, like now is the time. A lot of times they turn into, okay, well, let's sell now. Yeah. Versus waiting. So I think if you have that for the home valuation leads, even if somebody says, oh, I'm just looking because we're thinking about doing a refi, great, get them connected to BKCO Mortgage. And why don't I come by? Because I can run a market analysis for you. I can really give you an idea of what that looks like even on the refi side, because sometimes they're legit looking for a refi because they want to get a better rate. Sometimes they're thinking, well, maybe if we got a refi, we'll have a better price point, but we don't want to live here anyway. So sometimes that turns into a sale. So I think no matter what it is, get to the house and get in front of them.
Well, I think you're right, Tam, because the getting into and I use that too, as far as when somebody says they're not going to do it till next spring. I'm with you, Vija. It's like, I'm going to try to get in that house right away because number one, I really do want to be helpful to my client and to let them know that I am really adamant about, let's not spend the money unless they just have a bunch of money to throw around, but let's not spend money that's not necessary. One of the first questions I always ask any seller is, okay, do you have money to spend? And if you do, how much do you want to spend, so that we can work backwards and they can get the most value out? And a lot of times people are like, well, I don't really want to have to spend money. And sometimes you can just work around that elbow grease thing. But the other thing is, even if they have money to spend, Tamara's right. Sometimes you can just run those numbers and say, look, it may make more sense for you to not spend that money. Because no matter what, when you spend that money, there's always a risk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think Adelina did this one time. So you probably have heard it and you probably know it. And I just thought it was brilliant.
That's Adelina Lopar in Austin, Texas.
Yes. Yeah. And again, trying to get in the house as soon as possible, that weather relating. So a lot of people that were thinking, okay, we're going to wait till spring. Even now, they're waiting. And so my kind of go-to on that is, let me come out and take a look at it now. Let's prep the house. Let's get it ready. She did a big push one year for before the snow came, and let's get out there. Let's take photographs. Let's get the house ready. And then when it snows, if that's the week you want to go live, you don't have listing pictures covered in snow. And so, these home valuations, we use that a lot of, hey, now that the weather is nice, even though you're not thinking about selling until you finish fixing this or fixing that. Let's get the photos taken. Let's go. Let's make some plans and put all that together. So I've used that script multiple times on the home vows. It's brilliant.
Sue Adler did a whole marketing campaign for that because they have an on-staff photographer who's amazingly talented and wonderful. His name's Peter and it's her husband and I love him. But they did a whole marketing campaign where they got a ton of their database. They got them all show ready on the outside and took their pictures. And I think it was late, I can't quite remember. It might've been spring or late summer or something in preparation for, for a whole winter listing season. It was great. So I'm curious, ladies, how many of the immediate response, like if you can get them on the phone and get there, how many convert right away in 30 days or less?
Wow. I knew you were going to ask a conversion.
Ish, just a general,
That's an Adelina question. Tamara, have you guys tracked that?
No, but ish.
I haven't. Ish? If you can get them on the phone right away and you have all their information.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know.
I think it's less than 10%. I know that.
Okay, it's less than 10%. So if you get how many home valuation leads a week might you get?
About 110.
110 a week?
No, 110 a month. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, whoa, we need to talk about that.
About 110 a month.
About 110 a month. And so that's about 30, 25 to 30 a week.
That's about right.
And out of the 25 to 30, if you had to pick a number, how many of those fill everything out? Say it's 25 a week, right? How many of those would fill everything out?
5.
Okay. Is that about the same?
Probably about 5.
That feel about right. Okay. So
Yeah,
out of those 5,
right.
how many might you get an appointment with?
Well, that's kind of hit and miss, but
Yeah.
on a good week 2.
Okay.
But there's many weeks it's 0.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So maybe 4 or 5 appointments a month from those?
Probably 3 to 4.
3 to 4 a month for the people that are filling those out. So if you can kind of go back in your head, those 3 to 4 a month, how many might be ready to list within 30 days?
1.
So you could get 1 listing a month based on your lead flow.
Yeah.
Just that you didn't know existed 30 days ago.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually higher than I thought. Okay. So it's
But
less.
the majority of them come long-term.
So let's talk about that. So you're getting about 25 a week and we're going to dive into, what that long-term nurture looks like. But while we're on this, while your brain's there. So if there's 25 a week, let's say 5 of them pull everything out. Let's take that 20 that don't, right? Out of that 20 that don't, I mean, how many home valuation listings period are you getting every month?
Well, I'm starting to get a lot, but they're not recent.
Yeah.
So I put 3 on this last month.
Okay.
In January, I put 3 home valuations leads on the market. One was from 2018, April of 2018. One was from June of 2017. And the most recent one was June of this last year.
Okay. Okay. And
I've got 2 more going on this month. And they were also old.
so you're at 2 to 3 a month now.
Yeah, I think consistently, but that was 4 years of work.
Yeah. So it's a cumulative conversion process. So just like any internet lead, your first year, it might be a 1% conversion or even a 0.5% conversion. Second year, that'll bump up. It's just cumulative as long as you have a follow-up plan in place.
As long as you have a follow-up plan and you hold the keys to the
dressing room.
dressing room.
So, I think what's interesting about that is for all of you guys watching, it is really tempting, I understand, to go for today's business. And I certainly want you to do that. But if you would have started this in 2017 and 2018, and a lot of you guys listening and watching started in real estate back then, what if you had started it then? You'd be, you'd be taking your harvest now, right? You planted the seeds back then and you'd be reaping what you sowed, right? It's incredible. Does that sound about the same numbers-ish for you, Tam?
Yeah, and it's definitely, yes, and there is some definite now business. Not all of it is down the road. There's definite now business. I will say, when I first started using home valuation leads, my conversion was, mine team conversion was very low. But it was low, right? Because we were focused on the ones with the phone numbers and just, let the ones with the home addresses not really have any attention. Immediately when we changed our game plan on it, then conversion, I mean, in the beginning, honestly, I wasn't converting any, and I would say, these are useless. But it was just that fire, pick up the phone, they're not answering, they mustn't be good kind of thing. Once you have to have a follow-up plan, you have to have a touch plan. Once you do that, you will get the immediate phone call ones that are ready to list. We've secured those and closed those. And the follow-up plan, the whole system itself will just create that, increase that conversion. You have to do it with these leads.
Okay, so I want to dive into that. I want to dive into so we talked about all the ones that came in. Let's just use this 20 a month thing because it's kind of an easy number for my head to remember. So out of that 20 a month that come in with no phone number and nothing filled out, you're going to pop by their house and you're going to try to get a phone number and an email address, correct? I mean, all of you have some method you're going to try to do that. How many of those 20 might you get that for?
Of like going on Been Verified or something like that?
Oh, so Been Verified will give you their phone number and their email, or just their phone number?
Phone number and email.
Both, usually. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Not always, but yeah, but both.
And I would say there are going to be some that our assistant comes back and says, well, there's nothing for it. But I would say a good chunk of them, like 80% of the ones that don't have phone numbers, she comes back and says, here's some information.
So maybe 15 out of the 20 or something would have something.
Yeah.
Okay. So then can you walk me through, maybe we'll start with you, Tamara. What would an auto plan look like? What would a year-long auto plan roughly consist of?
So I'm looking at one right now, and there's tasks in there for you to call. There's tasks in there for you to email. We have two different auto plans, and in fact, they're the Brevity standard auto plan that comes with the packet. But there's the full valuation leads with name, phone number, email. And then there's an auto plan for just addresses. Okay. So that is, sending them text messages, emails, reminders for calls, pop-bys, deliver the listing packet or the handmade basket or handmade bags, all of that. Set up a marker report. I forgot that. That's a main one. That's a huge touch. If you have an email address, then you can set them up on a marker report. Whether they're ready to talk or not, they're seeing your face either weekly, biweekly, or monthly. Mm-hmm. When I ask them that question, I always ask them the same question, talk about the marker report, set it up via what we can send it over weekly, biweekly, or monthly. What would be the most beneficial for you to see that? Almost always they select biweekly. I don't know if it's just the medium one they feel comfortable with, but they almost select biweekly. And then I will say home valuations with marker reports. When you're looking at the marker report, you can track when they're like, that's one of the filters I look at all the time. My sellers on Brevity who have marker reports, and I do, when was the last time they looked at their market report? And if you can see an uptick on when they're looking at the market reports, that's one that I would call, email, check in, pop by. Hey, I happen to be in your neighborhood, leave my car in the driveway with the door open and the car running. You know, I happen to be in your neighborhood via, I just wanted to stop by and say hi. I'm on my way to an appointment, so you don't feel like you're intruding them.
Yeah.
Those are all kind of critical steps. If you have their, like, I almost prefer their email over anything, so I can set them up on that market report. Call to offer lender referral for if you haven't talked to them yet, for those 3 points: knowing the value, market report, doing a refi. So you're talking about refi. I think I got everything in there.
Okay, so I just want to kind of share, just for everyone here, every CRM I know has some version of what we call a market report. And I just want to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about, because it is the single best thing you could ever send anybody, period, end of story, in your database. Now on Brivity, we do call it market reports, but what these are they're dynamic, and that's really important, meaning they're updated. You know, they're not a static thing. So they're dynamic, and they're just a report of what's selling in the neighborhood and what the approximation of value could be for your home as a result. So new listings, pending listings, sold listings. The good ones, ours have like a map on them. I tell you what, they are so good, ladies. I mean, obviously we're all realtors. I get one sent to me. I look at it for my own home, and I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You catch yourself in the vortex of it. Because it's so well, the user interface is so good. So funny.
Yeah.
So
and I've been a real estate. Oh, I was going to say I've been a real estate agent for a long time, that I used to do that manually. Like all of my people, I'd be like, you're on my VIP list. And I would sit there in the MLS and I'd search active, pending, sold, and send them the link and send them the link. That this in there is just a beautiful feature.
What else do you guys send them besides the market reports? Gail, what do you guys do?
So one of the things, so I have a home valuation auto plan also. I don't use the CAN version. I made one up a long time ago, and I think I modified it a little bit based on the CAN one when the CAN one came out and everything.
You're going to share with me.
One of the big,
now that I know you have a secret one, I want it.
No, I have a really good one. Mine's called the Gail Smith Auto Plan. That's actually the one.
That's the one I want.
You modified.
Ladies, give a girl a bone.
Well,
share it over.
The thing that we
everyone in chat's like
that is we added a tag, and we just call it calendar, and there's no reason other than I don't know why, but calendar means mailer. Okay, one of the big touches that we do is in addition to the market, because I'm with Tamara, the market report and watching that market report and watching if they've opened it, that's the big indicator.
Yeah.
So they're getting 2 touches a month typically with that market report. You know, if you've got them set up on, you know, every other week. So in addition to that, just continuing to try to follow up and all of that other stuff. The other thing is the mailer. It's been very successful with us. And I know a lot of people don't believe in mailers, but I mean, I don't know how many of these people that I've gone over in my calendar and or Mariner's schedule and or Seahawks schedule is on their refrigerator. In fact, the last one I went to, he had the last 3 things I'd sent him on the refrigerator still. And he was all proud of it. Look, I got you on my refrigerator. But that is just another touch and it's funny because I've been getting calls after I send those out. So those 3 calls in December that I got to list in January all came, I believe, because they all came right after we sent the calendars out. So I think it was just another, it's looking like it's time to sell.
There with the key to the dressing room.
All of a sudden, boom, here's this little calendar.
That might as well have been a dressing room key in the mail.
Yes, it's like dropping the dressing room key in the mail, and we send them out 5 times a year.
Yeah.
So we have 5 mailers that go out every year in addition to the other stuff. And we invariably get calls now, longer term, we're getting calls after those mailers. So I'm going to stick with, I think the mailers are working.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just another deal. They're not that expensive to send out. And it's just another way to, like you said, dropping the key to the mailbox, you know, to the key to the dressing room in the mail.
I love that because none of this is that complicated. What all of this is, you have to have automation. You cannot do this without automation, you guys. Whatever CRM you use, you just use it, right? Automate it. These long-term nurtures need some kind of automation. But I think what's interesting, both of you are saying, is that these long-term auto plans also are filled with prompts. So that not everything's automated, but it is prompting you. And so you have to check your tasks or to-dos, whatever your CRM calls them, right? And you have to do the work.
Right. But Tamara's point is key about the market reports and watching that, you know, and like you said, Via, it's depending on your CRM, whatever, they all have them, but watching those indicators is so key.
Yeah, that's right. Ladies, in the time we have left, I do kind of want to talk about how we get the leads in the first place, because I'm a big believer that like everything we do should be funneling to our home valuation site, right? With that said, what do you guys do to get leads on that?
Tamara's going to have to answer that because I got the technical guys that sit behind me that do it for me. So I don't really know the process.
So if everybody who's seen Bob Stewart on my webinars, Gail is his mom. And so I have a feeling that Bob has a hand in some of Gail's tech. But Pam, it's on you.
Sorry.
So I have magic people in the background as well. So we do our home valuation marketing through Brivity. So they handle that as far as the main home valuation marketing that comes in. Some of the other things we will do is, just listed, just sold postcards. We can now put a QR code so if I run a team and I have 28 agent partners on the team. So if they're doing a listing, we can send out a just listed postcard. They can do door knocking. We can print the postcards. I'm looking at one that Beverly has that's a really cute one that has her QR code in it. So she can go door knocking and leave those.
Is this something you can hold up to the camera? Is it too hard?
It's on my screen.
Oh, you can share your screen.
Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah.
So this is.
Now, if you're driving, don't swerve off the road.
No, don't. This is what it looks like. And then that QR code, I'm not sure why it's so big. That QR code goes directly back to her website, and each person that has their own site can have a dedicated QR code. So door knocking, mailers, just listed postcard, things like that. Here's another one that we have, market update. I wanted to show you one, not that one. I want to show you one other one. These are some of the things in the bag. Oh, this is the bag, the front of the bag that Gail was talking about, and we put them on sticker paper.
Your real estate lifesavers.
And then fill it with lifesavers. So anyways, those are some of the examples, but QR code. So you can really direct anything back to your home value sites. There's some of our agents do the quickly keywords. So you
quickly
can say,
is a text response.
Yeah. So any kind of marketing, you should have something that either it's the text response, the QR response, something like that drives them back to your site, your home valuation site.
All right. What is the one piece of advice that you want to leave everyone with, Gail Smith? What is the one piece of advice? Because you've had phenomenal success, maybe more success than anyone I know in home valuations. So what's your one piece of advice you want to leave everybody with today?
The success is in the follow-up.
That's the right answer. Yeah. And the average life cycle, I mean, you were mentioning 2017 and 2018. So and you have to automate that, right? You could never do that manually on your own.
No way.
Yep. You act fast and then you just follow up in the long term and get patient in the follow-up. Yeah.
We're really fortunate that we have a system or CRM that allows us to basically almost look like the heroes. Yeah. Because of the automation and the ease of which, as long as you work it, that's the other thing is, it's like anything. And when I first came into this business, I quickly realized that a CRM, I told my son way early on that it could either be the greatest tool in your tool belt or the biggest nightmare. And so if you're working your CRM, no matter what type of CRM you have, in my opinion, we have one of the best, if not the best. But that's just my opinion. But any CRM, no matter what CRM you're using, if you're not working it properly, it can become almost your enemy. Instead of your friend and the tool that helps you get to the next level.
What about you, Tam? Last pieces of advice, anything?
I would just say the touches. And I say that because so many times people will ask, what's that magic piece that you're doing for home valuations? I'm sure Gail's been asked that question a million times. And I really, don't think there's a magic piece. I think the more you touch them, the more chances and opportunity you're going to have for business. I think that's why we go, Ben's analogy of the stool and like the different legs on the stool. Like I think by the mailer, the calling, the door knocking, the Ben verify, I think those things layered on top helps increase your conversion rate. So I think touch them as many times as possible and know that they're either going to list with you one day or they're going to list with somebody else. And the more that you get in front of them, the better. So I think, and of course, going back to the systems are going to help you with those touches. But don't expect to pick up the phone, call somebody and just, get listings popping left, right, and center. You have to do the work for it. So I would say that's the biggest thing is just touch them, touch them, touch them.
I love that so much. And that's my parting words, really similar to Tamara's. Agents, you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to set some things up in advance and you have to show up fast, speed to lead every time, right? And, you're not always going to get business just falling in your lap. You have to convert, you have to work for it, but it's there. I promise you it's there for the taking if you can focus on it and do the work. So thank you, ladies, so much. I just learned so much today and I got an invite to Tamara's Lake House. Maybe the three of us need to go have a meeting there. And we could talk about home valuation leads there. So we'll plan a time for that. For all of you guys, have a fantastic week and we will see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to be off next week. It's my birthday and I'm going to be out of town. So we will see you in 2 weeks and thanks for joining us. Thank you, ladies.